The auto enthusiasts, today we're looking at the 2011 Acura RDX all-wheel drive Turbo. We're going to do an in-depth review, check out the interior, and take her for a drive. Stay tuned. Today we're looking at the 2011 Acura RDX SH all-wheel drive Turbo. This is Acura's flagship SUV and has always been one of the classier looking SUVs on the road. The RDX SH all-wheel drive Turbo is powered by a 2.3-liter turbocharged VTEC i4 engine. It produces 240 horsepower and 260 pounds-per-feet of torque. The RDX gets 17 miles to the gallon on the city and 22 miles to the gallon on the highway. It can be purchased in a 5-speed automatic transmission. The RDX comes in a variety of attractive color schemes that all help its aggressive yet classy look. This is an SUV that I found to be appealing to a couple of genres of buyers. It is an attractive car, but it also offers a sporty drive, excellent safety features, and properties that can make it a family car. It has an extremely aggressive grille and headlights, and fog lights do come standard. Dual exhaust also helps give it a sporty look. The 10-spoke chrome rims were very appealing as well. Acura must have really wanted to utilize tight edges and cuts with this SUV, and it really differentiates it from all of its other competitors. It doesn't really fit the category of a normal SUV. The back seats were pretty large and very comfortable. They held your body surprisingly well. The trunk space definitely was above average. The back seats did go down to open up a larger space. The entry to the trunk was also very wide and tall, and it would have been easy to put large items in the back. The overall interior of this car is definitely surprising. It's definitely not what I expected. The feel of it is really comfortable. I'm really comfortable. The armrest is leather wrapped. It's very comfortable. The doors. Very soft. There's a lot of soft pieces to put your arms. It's a comfortable car for the driver. There aren't that many hard plastics. Everything is pretty nice. The features are pretty nice. I'm really surprised. It's a very driver-oriented car. It's a little sportier than I would have assumed. Another thing is I feel pretty high up. My outlook of the actual car feels a lot like like a sedan. I can see really far down. The slope is it's a very high, very steep slope. I have a very good view. Overall, I feel like I'm in a very driver-oriented, sporty car. It's also very comfortable. Luxury is definitely emphasized in this car. The steering wheel in this car is really nice. I'm really surprised with Acura. It's a very large wheel that lacks a bottom grip, but has a very comfortable grip here and up here. There are a lot of buttons in this car. They're quite large and easy to use, easy to read. I'm not a huge fan of the buttons here. I feel like they're a little bit hard to use. You actually have to press them from this angle. You can't grab them from about here. But overall, it's a comfortable wheel. There's a leather wrap. It's not the greatest leather wrap, but it's a nice wheel. The gauges in this car are super attractive. I really like the way that these the housing pieces. Sorry, it's hard to see. The housing pieces in the car are very sporty and aggressive. I also enjoy that blue tint and the red mark. They're just super sporty, flashy. Exactly what I would like to see in a car. Now the overall interior is really nice. There's this screen. It's a pretty large screen. It's really tucked away. It's not very obtrusive. I really like the way the screen has worked. The quality isn't as high as what you'd expect, but it's still a nice screen. I really like the fact that it's pushed back, kind of like out of reach. Now the overall buttons and systems in this car, it's a little confusing. You know, once you get used to it, it took me a little while to figure out what's what, but now once I'm used to it, it's very easy. A lot of what Acura did was focus on simple ergonomics, and it's a well-mastered system. Now the CD player is actually below, which is different. The sound in this car is great. I was very impressed. You do have your heated seats down here, and the actual shifter knob is pretty attractive. The top isn't, I'm not very impressed with this, but the actual leather here and the illumination of the selections on the gearbox are here. That's very attractive. Now the cup holders are nice. You can tuck them away with this attractive cover, and there's a little chrome on where you're going to push the chrome in its scented area, and then you have your cup holders. These are actually pretty large cup holders. I could see someone putting coffee, drinks, stuff like that in it, and not having any issue. The overall storage in this car is absolutely fantastic. The door is pretty average. This is just a slot space to put stuff. Now, if you go in and look at the glove compartment, however, this is pretty large. There's a massive manual in it, but this is pretty large. It's a little smaller than competitors, but it's very wide. It's not skinny, and it could fit paperwork, but nothing more, really. There's some space here. Not really sure what you'd use it for. It's not really wide enough for a phone, but you might be able to put some pens, change in there. The 12 volt is covered. I like this cover rather than the actual piece. There is an auxiliary input here that's covered, which I'm not crazy about. Other than that, we're going to move on to the armrest, which is the kind of main highlight of this car. This thing is huge. You open it from the front, right over here. You push this in and pull up. And right off the bat, you've got this massive piece of storage. You've got a USB release here that has a USB that just goes right back in there. A 12 volt and auxiliary under here. So you already think you've got this massive amount of storage, and then these actually come up and open the largest amount of armrest storage that I've ever seen in a vehicle. This is by far, out of all the vehicles I've reviewed and been in my lifetime, this is the largest I've seen. There's a lot of visibility in this car, and natural light, especially natural light. The visibility is great, especially in the front. The front windshield is great. It's super large. It's very, 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 very large. I can't emphasize that enough. I can't speak. The side view mirrors give me a good amount of viewing. They could be a little bit larger. There is a pretty large blind spot in this car, but it's not where, in this SUV, it's not where normal blind spots are. It's actually right to the side of you. You can see behind you, but it's actually to the side of you. So let's take this for a drive. One thing that I did notice before I even started to go again, one thing that I've noticed before even driving is I'm really far away from the wheel. I've tried to adjust the seat as many times as possible and the actual wheel, but I'm at my ideal driving position for my feet. Maybe I'm a little bit closer than normal just to adjust for the wheel. But again, I feel a little far away from the wheel, which isn't, I have short arms, but if for somebody who had long arms, maybe. If you look at the actual demographics of who's buying this car, I don't know if that actually fits it. Let's see. But again, let's take it for a drive. I'm excited. I've never been in an Acura Turbo. Let's check out what it's got. One thing I've noticed in this car, just driving around the lot of the actual dealership, is that the car idles pretty slowly. You kind of have to give it to gas. The pedal applies light acceleration when you compress it just slightly, just enough to pick that idle up a little bit. And the actual ride of the car, just going over a few bumps in the dealership, is quite comfortable to begin with. Let's see what it's like on the road. Braking is a little bit touchy, but I like it. It's very precise. It's a little much for an SUV, I think. It would take a little time to get used to if you've driven other SUVs. It's a lot more like the Acura sedans. Alright, so we're shifted into sports mode, and we're going to pull off and give this thing a little bit of acceleration. So yeah, it has some great pickup. This has a lot of great pickup. I'm very surprised. You get to speed quickly. The one thing it does lack is it's very tuned out. It's a very refined interior. I don't actually feel like I'm accelerating. Like acceleration. I don't feel like I'm accelerating. And, you know, that's a good thing and bad thing. I think most people that are buying this car aren't buying it for performance. The turbo model is definitely a plus. It's fun to drive. But again, it's refined, and I think that Acura meant to do that. It matches the upscale interior. It's a very comfortable car to drive in. I'm really comfortable right now sitting in it, and the road feel is great. It definitely, the car is definitely designed to give the driver and the passengers the most comfortable drive possible. So handling and turning in this car are pretty good. I'm impressed. It's an SUV. It's pretty well balanced for an SUV. I've been in a lot. of like RAV4s, that kind of class of SUV, and this is pretty balanced. It also has the pickup. You can give it a little bit more in turns. The turning is pretty fluid. The wheel is light, so when you do turn, it doesn't really it doesn't take much pull of the wheel to get the wheel to turn the actual physical car. I've noticed twice that I began the turn and I was almost oversteering because I would physically overturn the wheel just because of that little bit of that almost no resistance for the wheel, which is nice. It's definitely luxurious. It's definitely that like height of luxury kind of concept. Overall, feel whether I can spend a lot of time in the interior, I could definitely see myself going on road trips in this car. I'm very comfortable. It's an easy car to kind of like lay back and just drive. I tested the cruise control, and the cruise control works really well, and I just think I think it's a very comfortable car. If you've got a family, this is definitely a car to look into. It does spice up the drive. The turbo is nice. It's fun to drive. It's got great turning. It's all around. It's a great SUV. I'm definitely surprised. I didn't think I'd get this type of quality because Acura isn't like their flagship car isn't an SUV, but they've done a very nice job engineering something that is a lot like their sedans, but can seat 5 comfortably, has a ton of space, can kind of not off-road, but go in SUV situations, and the interior is definitely fantastic. I'm really happy. I feel like I'm in the height of luxury, and they didn't skimp on anything. Acura definitely said, hey, this is what our people want, we're going to give it to them. And I feel that way as a driver in this car, that there isn't really anything that I'm searching more for. We come up for one more piece of acceleration here. We're going to start from a turn just to see what the body is like. And yeah, it's really balanced. Like I said earlier, that balance is great. It makes it for a fun car to drive. And this car definitely gets up to speed really quickly. I'm really impressed with the turbocharger on this. Again, it's like an opportunistic car. It's not as opportunistic as other turbocharged, but it's when you step on the gas, the car is like, let's take it for a drive. You know, the car recognizes you want to go fast. One thing I have to say, the only issue that I've had with the car that I kind of dislike, overall it's a really nice car and I really like it. The one thing I dislike with this car are the paddle shifters. You know, it's a big deal to put paddle shifters in a car, because it tells the driver, hey, we want this car to be sporty, and that's the idea behind the car. Now, the paddle shifters in this car they don't compress like a normal paddle shifter. It is literally a button. So you press it and it's like pressing in a button. And I really, really don't like that. You can see it now. It's just pressing in a button, and that's what the shift is. And I'm not a fan of that. I think they should have put regular paddle shifters in it or just left them out. That's the only problem that I have with this car. Other than that, it's a great car. I'm super happy with the car. Really surprised. I think Acura has done a nice job making a car that's for a ton of people, that's fun to drive and kind of outperforms its competitors, both in interior feel, looks, and what you're actually doing on the road. I'm happy with this car. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely leave comments and questions below. Let me know what your experience has been with this car. Please subscribe and check out some of our other reviews.